Hello and welcome to the online edition of CMIS422, our next to last class session together. The end of the semester is here and I want to make sure that everybody has a strong finish. So let's not drop the ball at the last minute, and I'll make sure to keep you on track. Starting at the bottom here, the next big deliverables you need to worry about now that you've done exam number 3 is the Security Pro Test Out cert, which remember is on your main page in Test Out. Click the certifications button towards the top. It's not, if you go into Security Plus and look at the table of contents, it's not in there. It's under the certifications button on your home screen. And let me know if you don't see it, but you've got to get that finished by May 1st, midnight at the latest. So deliverable number 5 is the Security Pro certification exam. Number 6 is also due at the same time, so bake some time in there for yourself, is the post-project review, which is just a short 5-point assignment, but don't leave any points on the table. I would encourage you to take this before May 5th, just because you're leaving yourself 0 time for any retakes. Now, I do allow people to do a retake if they bomb it the first time, but you want to give yourself a couple of days, partially because you need to get the retake voucher. You need to purchase one from Test Out on your own. That's between you and Test Out. I think it's still $39. You get that code. Let me know once you've purchased the code and activated the code, and I will go in and reschedule the exam for you. But you'd have to do that. You'd have to get that done middle of this week, right, in order to have time to do all that. The other thing I need you to do is your course evaluation. Obviously, that's going to be online this time, not in class. So you should have already gotten an email notification about how to do your course evaluation for 422. If you have not gotten such an email, please let me know. It's really important that everybody do all of their course evals now more than ever. Some faculty have, for some reason, opted not to do student evaluations this semester because things got so weird. I'm not one of those. I do want your feedback, and it does help future generations of students for you to give your honest and open feedback on the course. On with the show. I'll give you your exam results. We'll talk about certification next steps, and I've got some course wrap-up activities we need to chat about before we can have our final session together. But first, a hat and a t-shirt. Okay, I'm obviously wearing my Cardinals ball cap because the next band t-shirt I'm going to show you is one that I saw at Busch Stadium. This is back in 2018, and they played in the open air Busch Stadium, and I thought the acoustics would be terrible. They're actually excellent. So these are the 2 of the bands I saw there, Journey and Def Leppard. Journey was the headliner. Def Leppard opened up for them, and Cheap Trick opened up for them. Cheap Trick was awesome. Def Leppard was probably, just for overall entertainment value, probably about the best band I've ever seen. And that's saying something. Journey, not so much. They kind of rushed through their set, and a lot of people started leaving early, us included. I mean, I love Journey, but yeah, they were not tight that night. But Def Leppard, whoa, awesome. Okay, on with the show. Let's talk about the exam, which is great. Mean of 81, median of 80. I'm not going to go through individual questions, obviously, but if you have like a specific question on the exam that confused you or that you thought was unfair or poorly worded, or I could word better in the future, please let me know. I want to address all issues before the end of the semester. I don't want you to lose any sleep over silly stuff like this. Okay, if you did not, and most of you have not done the cert yet, but when you do it this week, right? Don't wait until the 1st. Go ahead and do the practice exam if you haven't yet. I think everybody has done it at this point, and that should tell you what you need to work on. But if you take the Security Pro exam and you don't pass, you still have a small window of opportunity to retake it. This is the promo code you need. You'd have to reach out to Test Out yourself and purchase another. Here's a screenshot. Purchase another code. It's totally up to you. Do pay attention to the project instructions, which a lot of you have not been paying attention to. It's the first document in the project deliverables folder on Blackboard that explains how scoring works. So it's not a pass-fail sort of thing. I mean, for test out, it's pass-fail. For this class, you can make an A, B, C, D, depending on your score. Now, if you pass, even if you pass by just a little bit, that's still 100 points, right, for the assignment. So that's good. So if you don't pass, you can either calculate what your score is going to be, or just or just retake it. Now, if you did pass, I would, and you're all interested in a career in cybersecurity, and we're going to talk about this later this week in our final session on how to get a job in cybersecurity. But if you're interested in a job in cybersecurity, you have got to be Security Plus certified. So just remember, Test Out Security Pro is what prepares you for Security Plus. You don't take the Security Plus exam as part of this class, but you're ready to take it with just like a little bit more studying. The best way to prepare for Security Plus is to take the Security Plus practice exam, which is free in Test Out. So in the table of contents, scroll all the way down, it's in there. That's the best way to tell if you're prepared. If you pass it, oh my God, just go ahead and schedule it. Normally it's about $339. There is a student discount. The cheapest one I found, if you find a cheaper one, let me know. The cheapest one I found is at this link here, academic.comptiastore.com, for $221, which is dirt cheap. I know that sounds like a lot of money. It's dirt cheap for certification, because some other certs, like Cisco certifications, cost thousands of dollars, like $3,000 or more. Those kinds of certs you get your employer to pay for, but this is one you should invest in yourself. Borrow some money from mom, dad, rich aunt, uncle, somebody to help you out. They want to help you out with your career. Tell them this is the best way to get started. CompTIA Security Plus is what's recognized in the industry. Test Out Security Pro, not as recognized in the industry. There's still a badge that you can add to your LinkedIn profile, but the Security Plus certified badge counts for a lot more. Counts for a lot more money, honestly, in terms of salary. Also, just in terms of getting a job, if I've got two candidates about the same qualifications, but one's certified and one's not, I'm definitely going to go with the Security Plus certified person. So do yourself a favor. So the first step is to purchase a voucher for yourself, and you can do this after the semester. Do this over the summer, right? And then go to PearsonView.com to schedule the exam. So CompTIA outsources everything to Pearson VUE. Pearson VUE does, exams for everything from SATs to ACTs to CompTIA to Cisco to Microsoft certification. Everybody uses Pearson VUE as a front-end scheduler. Things have gotten a little different with Pearson VUE. Obviously, with the COVID-19 situation, they've had to figure out how to do virtual proctoring, because typically a real certificate, an industry certification like this will be proctored, where you have to show your driver's license and everything and sit in a quiet room, surrender your cell phone and everything. But if you go to PearsonView.com, they are starting to go to more of an online format. But why is Security Plus important? Eileen is a technology recruiter I talked to maybe 2 years ago that said that had some great quotes about it opens doors. It's the best $250 you can invest in yourself. And this phrase, I should put this in red, studying for Security Plus, you put that on your resume. I mean, today, you put that on your resume. Just by virtue of going through this class, you were studying for Security Plus. And so any automated system that's looking for that Security Plus keyword, you've got to have it on your resume. Gotta. Also, Security Plus is the gatekeeper for the Department of Defense 8570, which I'll show you in a second, which is kind of the career path for security certifications. Also, keep in mind that CompTIA, CompTIA owns Security Plus, Network Plus, Linux Plus, PC A Plus, all the pluses, right? CompTIA bought or acquired or merged with AITP over a year ago, and they kind of changed their whole setup. It used to be you join AITP, and we still have an active AITP student chapter on campus, and that's going to continue, but CompTIA has acquired AITP, and so the deal now is you can get what used to be an AITP membership. Now you can get a CompTIA Pro, CompTIA Professional membership for $29 a year as a student. That goes up to $49 a year after you graduate. So look at that now. And consider joining, because again, just being a member of a professional organization looks good on your resume. I used to recommend that people do this at the testing center in Granite City, but obviously things are different now with COVID-19. People are looking for online options. I'll let you do the legwork on how this works now in terms of getting proctored online. It might be that the testing center in Granite City offers that service, but Pearson VUE is probably the starting point there. I mentioned the DoD path of certifications, and here's the DISA.mil link that shows all of the baseline security certifications that public sector, government, military are looking for. So once you get Security Plus certified, that's just the beginning. That's not the end. Security Plus is kind of the baby cert that leads to all other certifications. Some other ones that I would recommend you look at are Linux or any of the server certs, pen testing. Before you graduate, you can still use that discount code to buy other test out modules. And I'd strongly encourage you to do this before you graduate, not after, because then you can't use the code after you're done here. If I had to pick a next step to recommend, I would say the next one is Certified Ethical Hacker. Is probably the next one after Security Plus. And you see this here, CEH. Yeah, but there are a lot of certs, and it just depends on what area you want to specialize in. So these are a lot of acronyms that you can start looking up to determine your career path. But most of these, your employer is going to pay for if they need you to take it, right? Don't pay for all this yourself. Pay for Security Plus yourself, not all these. A lot of security jobs will require security clearance. Don't let that put you off. The employer will help you obtain your security clearance. You just have to be willing to go through the rigmarole associated with it. It can take 3 months, 4 months, because they do interview family, friends. They do a complete and thorough background check on you, but this is required for security clearance. And you seriously, don't let it scare you. Just go ahead and do it. Unless you're an active drug user, then don't bother. That's just a note from the FBI, by the way. If you miss you forget, you don't purchase a bunch of test out modules before because remember, the test out modules are good for 18 months. So you can buy them now, and they're good for 18 months after you activate them. So you don't have to activate it immediately. Just go ahead and buy a bunch of modules, keep them in your back pocket for future use. But if you need some free training, there's a great site that has a lot of free security stuff on it called cybrary.it, www.cybrary.it. Definitely look for that. Students ask me all the time for recommendations for where to go for free industry training. This is the first place to start. There are some universities that offer some free training as well. SIUE isn't there yet, but I'm pushing to make this available for, as a post-bac certificate in the future, or maybe even for alums that want to go back and do some kind of certification. But for example, this is Texas, some university in Texas, TEX.org has some cybersecurity classes for free right now that you can take. Other universities are offering some certification training for free if you want to search the interwebs for that. But Cybrary IT, I would say, is the place to start. All right, let's wrap up some big ideas in cybersecurity. Hopefully, you have internalized the lesson that in order to have good security, you need to use a standard framework, such as NIST, such as ISO, such as SANS, such as ITIL, COBIT. There are lots, and that's COBIT, not COVID, as a security framework. You've got to use a framework that this is a business problem, not IT's problem. Just because security typically reports up through the IT department doesn't mean that IT is the only one responsible for security. Everybody is responsible for security. If you want a job in cybersecurity, you don't have to be super, super technical. there are a wide variety of jobs, and I hope I've made that clear, especially in the previous lesson. Things are changing on a weekly, if not daily basis in terms of the threats that are out there. And of course, the threats related to COVID are only increasing, as we've seen. And a lot of you have posted some good articles in Microsoft Teams. You can still continue to do that through the end of the semester, by the way. Number 5, how do I mean, if I were in class, I would start jumping up and down about this idea. And in fact, I just read a great article on Reddit about this guy that just wanted to learn more about Linux, and just kind of documented everything that he went through to learn Linux, and I gave him a thumbs up and some motivation to continue his learning track, because this is what hiring managers are looking for. Not somebody who has learned how to do a lot of things, but they have learned how to teach themselves new things. And it's a subtle difference, but it's an important difference. You have to convince people in the interview that you're the kind of person that can teach yourself something new quickly, learn it yourself. You don't have to be spoon-fed. You don't have to have your hand held all the time, that you can dig in, learn something new, because that's what the job is forever until you die, is learning new stuff. So just because you get through this course doesn't mean you're done with cybersecurity. You're just getting started. Ooh, let's talk about something fun now. I dangled this in front of you at the very beginning of the semester when I tasked you with keeping up with your RSS feed. And it occurs to me that I should have had some final assignment where I have you turn in your final list of RSS feeds, but oh well. I am going to go ahead and share with you the FBI's list of RSS feeds that they keep up with. And by they I mean Meredith Burkhart with the cyber division for the FBI. This is her list of what she keeps up with. So a lot of these are ones that you've already identified: Dark Reading, Ars Technica, Threat Post are all ones that came up in class. There are a couple more that I keep up with, but in terms of authority, I mean, if it's good enough for the FBI, it's probably good enough for you to keep up with. So don't delete your RSS feed just because you're done with the class. You want to keep up with this stuff. Keep up with it. Another great way to keep up with trends in cybersecurity is to join InfraGard. And remember, it's infraguard.org, not .com. But this is the partnership between the FBI and private industry, and it's only growing. And they post stuff about COVID-related cyber attacks just about every day. Get ready for a lot of email, but if you want to be in the know, and they have great conferences. There's a local one here in St. Louis. Obviously, they had to reschedule theirs for this year, but that is worth going to for sure. InfraGard is a great organization. I said before, you've got to keep learning in cybersecurity. That's true for anything in life, but especially cybersecurity. So here are just some ideas for kind of next steps for you on your journey. If you do want to get Security Plus certified, or you end up passing the test, or you don't pass the test, let me know, because I have no way of keeping up with that sort of thing. You have to let me know what happens in your life. Shodan is a great search engine for the Internet of Things that I'll talk about briefly here in a second. I mentioned cyber.it and downloading some other test out modules. Shodan is something you could maybe throw on your resume just to telegraph that you know what's up when it comes to security, because it's ridiculously easy to search the internet for webcams that are not protected, for wireless access points that aren't locked down, for routers that are down level on their firmware, and exploit them. It's free to use, and it's called Shodan.io. I'm not going to give you a demo of how to use Shodan because I want to kind of motivate you to do your own legwork. For example, if you want to see traffic lights in Atlanta, there are any number of creative searches you can do on Shodan, and there are some great. And I'm giving you. this is the last time I'm going to hold your hand, but some great online tutorials for how to use Shodan. This is the next step for you in terms of being informed and a little bit dangerous. So there are a lot of people in ITS that can't believe I'm showing you guys this stuff, but I think you have to know what's out there in order to be able to defend your organization. So use this power wisely. Hopefully there are a lot of practical skills that you can copy and paste straight to your resume from this class if you want to get into cybersecurity and you're not listing this stuff on your, not necessarily all of it, but a lot of it on your resume, and you give me your resume to critique, I'm going to be butthurt if you don't put this on your resume. These are kind of the obvious things to throw on there, straight from the syllabus, straight from your assignments, and straight from test out. If you're not, a lot of students are like, I don't know what to put on my resume. How about everything that's kind of listed out here in test out? These are all examples of specific things that you know how to do and specific software that you should be comfortable with. Because one student asked me to give her a list of, oh, this is so helpful in security. Can you give me a list of what I learned in all your other classes? Okay, here you go. Again, you're not going to copy and paste all of these on your resume, but pick the ones that you're really comfortable with, that you think are strengths you have, that you know how to do. So I share this with you for free. And let's see. Let's look at one last video together. This is good because it gives you a nice overview of all the different careers that are available in cybersecurity. Okay, I'm pointing the microphone towards my speakers to see if that helps.
Ninja.
Hey everyone, I'm Alicia Webb with Secure Ninja TV. Now we have been out here in Las Vegas at both Black Hat and DEF CON all week. So we've had some great opportunities to talk to professional hackers and cybersecurity experts. So we decided to ask them, what exactly does it take to develop a career in cybersecurity, and what's it like having a career in cybersecurity? So here is some collective knowledge from the professional community. Enjoy.
I've been in the security industry for about 17 years. Really started out my career in doing security architecture, security design, a lot of firewall installations in the 90s, and got into penetration testing in the late 90s. Did that for a period of time, and then flipped over and started doing incident response. And as I became proficient at doing penetration testing, I could use those skills to detect when attackers were getting into environments. And so worked on some very large, high-profile data breach investigations, got a lot of experience there, and then really started managing people. And so this is sort of the progression. You sort of have to choose as your progression. Do you want to stay really deep technical, or do you want to do different things? And so I really started to enjoy, helping other people build their careers. And so hiring people fresh out of school, giving them guidelines, giving them guidance in order to build their careers and giving them paths to go, and making them happy. And so like the biggest thing I think from a career choice perspective, if you don't love what you're doing, don't do it. Find something that you really enjoy, that you want to wake up every morning and be excited about going and doing, and then you really see your career progress.
When I first started in the company, I used to do everything. I used to do sales. I used to do I used to do support. I used to help customers implement the solution. So when we grew enough and when I had time to decide what I wanted to do in the company, we decided that we really needed like a labs, a research team that could basically help the company to being on the top and being on the edge of all the new technologies and new capabilities to detect new threats. So that's how I ended up like creating this new department.
Nice. Do you like working in cybersecurity?
Yeah, I mean it has been what I wanted to do my whole life. So since I was a child, I was always learning by myself, like learning how to program, learning how to hack from my home. So in the end, this is what I really wanted to do with my life. So I'm pretty happy.
I started out doing computer programming and systems analysis, and I had a knack for tearing apart code, analyzing problems, and that ability is something that lends itself very well to the security side of the business. Kind of like having that detective mind. If you're inquisitive, you don't like letting a problem just sit and lie, you stay up until you solve it, then usually you have a good mind for the security industry.
For those that are looking to try to get in the industry, and like I would tell my son, Danny, this is something that has got to be your number one priority. It's something that you have to love doing, because to just be average at this is going to get you or your organization owned, because you have to be diligent. This has got to be your passion, and that's probably the number one thing. I mean, they say it takes about 10,000 hours to master any skill. So there's many different skills in cybersecurity. Pick something that you love of that. I guess the CISSP says there's like 10 common bodies of knowledge or something along those lines, right? Well, that's a lot to know. I for one, like forensics and malware and, of course, mobile. And this is what I spend the majority of my time with all day, every day. I'm up about 5 a.m., and I'll probably go to bed on average around midnight every night. So every once in a while I have to crash. But, we're pretty much talking that I've got about 5 hours of sleep, because I go to bed thinking about cybersecurity, and I wake up going, what happened while I was asleep? This is something that I love doing.
It's important that they understand everything from operating systems to network to math to algorithms, and that is going to give them a really good base that they can use to develop new capabilities and learn new things, not only related to cybersecurity but any other field in computer science. So I really recommend them to have a really good base, and then learning cybersecurity will be much more easy.
So a well-rounded skill set. That makes sense.
It definitely takes some education and work. You have to learn the systems. It's never ending. So every time new advances in operating systems come out, the game starts all over again. So you're going to have to stay on top of technology, but one of the more important parts is being able to tie the technology in with the business and understand the business is trying to run their operation, sell their product, make their, manufacture their car, and security is secondary to that critical mission. We're there to help them solve that problem. So keeping up on industry, so when I got my programming degrees and things like that, I immediately started looking to get a degree in business. So I got my 4-year degree on business administration so I could understand those sides. Then I went back to the technical side and got a master's degree in network security. And then I've just kept my certifications and knowledge current to help me stay on top of the industry.
I pretty much decided a long time ago that I wanted to be in this field. This was what I love doing. I wake up every day. This is why it doesn't matter what day it is. It doesn't matter if I'm on vacation, because the bad guys don't sleep. So they would actually prefer me to be on sleep. They would prefer me to be on vacation, because they're persistent. That's why it's called an advanced persistent threat. They're not going to stop. So I decided that I was going to do my doctorate because I wanted to learn how to do professional research, and because I didn't feel like I did that well. And so the doctorate taught me how to do those things.
From an education standpoint, I know it's really tough sometimes for people to choose between finishing their bachelor's degree or finishing their college education versus jumping off into the real world. I even know when I was going to school in the late 90s, or actually the mid 90s, this was right when the .com world was popping up. And I actually had some friends who were in college with me who left school early and took jobs at places like Netscape and other places that would have been great, I think financially for me to have left, but I think, finishing your degree and getting a well-rounded, Bachelor of Science in Computer Science or with a minor in business, or I even minored in philosophy, which is completely, different than a lot of people do. Getting that foundation, I think, is key. And then once you're actually done with school, getting a job is really important. I know some people say I'm going to hold out for that perfect job, but even if you don't love the job at first, I think getting that business experience is extremely important, because it's very different than your college life. And learning how to interact with people, learning how to have meetings, how to have business meetings, learning how to answer to a boss, other than when you worked at the pizza restaurant, those types of things. That's extremely important. So as you then, as you build your skills and build towards exactly what you want to do, it's important to really get that foundation. Even if it's for a year or so, it's better than just sitting around and getting, even career, atrophy. You lose things right away. Even if you go from school to nothing for a year, you should just get a job. And your parents will thank me for that advice as well.
Well, I hope you found that helpful. We thought it was some really great advice.
Okay, let's pause there. I'll whip this back around. Yeah, a lot of different perspectives. Some of those folks are pretty gung-ho about their job. You don't have to be necessarily that passionate in terms of not getting enough sleep every night. But you do need to be motivated to learn more, and hopefully that idea kept coming up over and over and over again. Speaking of learning, what did we learn? This is a little thought exercise I like to I've started doing at the end of every class, to go back and review the objectives that were in the syllabus and just answer the question, did you learn the things that the course was designed based on the learning objectives to teach you? There are obviously a lot of objectives in CMIS422. The importance of using a security framework like NIST is number one. We talked about threats and attacks, legal and ethical issues, the 3 different levels of security documentation, the strategic and tactical and operational level of documentation, what I would call policy documents, process documents, and procedural documents, a good bit on CEDA, governance, planning, and security. Not glamorous, but dreadfully important. In fact, that's where the money is, in governance. My trademarked 3-step risk management activity we went through, of identifying all the possible threats, of prioritizing them based on impact and likelihood, and then risk mitigation in step 3, doing something about it. Talked a bit, I had a whole chapter on firewalls and VPNs, and then IDPSs. Remember, the free one is called Snort. Anybody can start using IDPS for free. Types of encryption for Wi-Fi, for VPN, for email, any number of things we got into. Symmetric versus asymmetric encryption, physical security, SDLC until you're just vomiting blood out of your eyeballs. You're going to get SDLC. I wish we did a little more with Agile. Hopefully you're getting a little exposure to Agile methodologies and other courses, because that's becoming more and more relevant. Management and maintenance activities, incident response, DR planning, red team, blue team, red team for offensive penetration testing, blue team for defensive incident response activities. Both are valuable. I would put it to you, there's probably more jobs on blue team sorts of roles, incident response, than there is on red team pen testing jobs, just because a lot of companies will outsource. It's such a specific skill set, penetration testing, they'll outsource that to a firm to do for them, whereas they're going to hire people full-time to defend the organization. How to stay up to date on changes in the industry, your RSS feed, InfraGard, going to conferences. Another good one is ShowMeCon, which has been deferred. It's normally over the summer. It's going to be in the fall now, but ShowMeCon.org is in St. Louis. That's a really good one to go to. And finally, career opportunities and certification options. I think I've hit this one pretty hard. And if you feel like we did not achieve any of our shared objectives, please let me know so that I can do a better job. But that's what we've talked about in CMIS 422. So there's nothing left for us to talk about except how to get a job. So here's my plan for our last online get-together, which will be another recorded video. I'm going to probably share the same video for 422 and 468 because I've pulled out kind of the specifics into this lecture, but specifics about do's and don'ts for your resume, do's and don'ts for your interview, do's and don'ts for your first job, how to negotiate salary, which a lot of students are confused about how you do that, and perhaps most importantly, things that the Career Development Center will tell you that I think are wrong. And I'll explain why I think they're wrong to give you the advice that they do, and why my advice is based more on real-world experience, and it'll help you probably make at least $10,000 more a year starting salary. So that's your why. Why should I show up? Why should I watch the very last video in this class? That's why. $10,000. Okay. See you then. Bye.